Good evening, my lovelies, and welcome. I'm Camilla, otherwise known as the Queen of Constantia, and welcome to my secret throne room. For those of you who haven't met me before, just a few notes. I do sometimes refer to my little book here to remind myself of things that I've observed during the episode. So if I look down, do please excuse me. My little brain cells are not what they used to be. And please like, subscribe, and press the notification bell so that you can be reminded when I post my next review. And so before we start, cheers! Moweni, Sabona, Dumela, Goeienaand, and all those great things. I'm afraid I can't do it in all 11 official languages. I've missed you. It's been a long week, and it's got me thinking about these lovely housewives that we love to watch, and of which I myself was one. It's got me a bit reflective because I've been suffering from quite a bout of extreme ill health, and on top of that, quite a bout of extreme parenting of teenagers and various other things that come along. And I thought that I would share with you, my kind and lovely audience, my thoughts on how much these women actually share with us, no matter our opinions of them, whether we think that they are the villain or the kind one or the sweet one or the interfering one or the bone collector or whatever. All of the women in these shows are kind enough to open up their lives to us. The filming schedule is extremely intense. They juggle their lives, their house, their lives, their jobs, their kids, their husbands, if they have them, their partnerships, their romances, and they open themselves up to us, often to ridicule, often to the Twitterati and to great cruelty. And I just thought that I'd put that out there as a little reminder, you know, when I found it this week that my reviews have just unfortunately been put up incredibly late, that I would put it out there, how things happen in this world of ours and how amazing it is. And I want to honor the ladies who are in Real Housewives for the fact that they actually give this to us and put themselves out there for all the hurt and the ridicule that they may meet, for all the stuff that they go through on the show, because let's face it, it can get quite dramatic, it can get quite harsh, they can go through quite a lot of bullying, one between the other. And yeah, I just wanted to honor them at this point and say, well done, ladies. You're getting up there, you're giving it to us, and thank you. We respect you and we enjoy what you give us. You're serving it, and thank you very much. And now, let us begin my review of Real Housewives of Durban, episode 6. So we start with Nonku, who is seeing Sia, who is her therapist slash counselor, and she seems to be expressing some second thoughts, should we say, about RD. And it would appear that she has given back the car, because she feels perhaps, or I'm sensing, that the car comes with some hooks attached, some strings attached, and she's scared of being controlled. She says she thinks it's a bit too early. I would agree, Nonku, I would definitely agree with that sentiment. And he says to her, what are you really scared of? She says she doesn't want to be played. She's been played in the past, and she's seeing triggers, or she's worried about triggers. Now, I want to say, Nonku, at this stage, I am seeing big red flags. And she says this fact that she's actually asked him, and he said he's never raised his hand to a woman. Now, this brings up something very serious for me, and it's something that I have debated with myself long and hard about whether I wanted to talk about. But I feel I need to, because this never raised a hand to a woman and red flags for Nonku. Okay, so In 2016, a man with the same name as RD was sentenced to 10 years in jail. Now, he himself has said that he was arrested. I found it very odd that the Queen did not call him up at the dinner table last episode on what that was about. And I was waiting to see, because they ended last episode on that, I was waiting to see if we would open this episode with a furtherance of that. It didn't go anywhere. So in 2016, a man was sentenced with his name, was sentenced to jail for 10 years for a physical assault on a woman, which word I cannot specify on YouTube. They don't like it. It throws out the algorithm. But it involves a specific physical, nasty assault. So I'm going to leave that up to your imagination, my viewers. 10 years. I'm assuming that this is the same person and that he got let out on parole early. I could, however, be wrong, so I'm issuing a disclaimer. It could be another person with the same name. However, if it is the same person, Nonku, that is a massive red flag. This particular person was in a position of trust when the offense was committed, was found guilty, was sent to jail, and that is a very, very serious offense, which if you are in a relationship with a man who has committed that offense, you need to take it very seriously. You need to look into the background. You need to see why he was convicted, what the background was, and the background before that, etc., etc., etc. I'm going to leave it there. But I myself have reservations and concerns. Then we move on to a scene with Calvin and JoJo. Calvin, you are such a huge romantic. This was beyond romantic, sweet, delicious. JoJo, you very lucky girl. I mean, the saxophone player, the covered dish. I mean, it's just it's like out of a movie. I mean, it's the romance playbook, isn't it? And he lifts the dish, and inside is this whopper of what looks like a canary yellow diamond to me. Thank you, Calvin. I'd love one too. I can send you, I'll DM JoJo with my address. I'd love one. Thank you. The next time you see one. Similar size, could be smaller. I don't mind, but I'm up for one. And then, of course, JoJo somehow manages to segue into harmonica filler. I've had a little bit around here. It's good stuff. However, I think Calvin is very, very ruggedly handsome. Personally, I don't think he should touch his face. But, you know, if that's what he wants to do, fine. But if me, I'm going, Calvin, leave your face alone already. You're perfect as you are. It kind of went for me at the end of that lovely romantic scene that we landed up talking about whether he should improve on his face instead of it just landing up being all lovey-dovey. I thought that was a bit sad. Anyway, but I thought the scene, all in all, JoJo, I'm just, you know, green with envy. Although, that said, see this beautiful ring? This is a Zambian emerald, and my husband got down on his knees on my 40th birthday and kind of re-proposed and gave it to me. So I'm also a very lucky girl. Romance does live on. It's beautiful. So then we move on to Slee and her sister. What a lovely wig, Slee. You look gorgeous in it. She talks about having lost time with her kids. Now, I'm assuming that this is during the time when she went with the guy who then left her and married the other woman 3 months later. So she invested a lot of time with this man, and then he dumped her. This seems to be what it was. So she left her kids with the father of her children in order to pursue and put in a lot of time in this romance, 6 years into this romance with this high-profile man. And then at the last minute, he walked out on her, or it all fell apart. And 3 months later, he married someone else. This is what I'm inferring from what I'm understanding. It's not made absolutely clear, but that's what it looks like. And that is a little bit of a shady thing to do, is to go, well, I'm putting my kids to one side because this looks like a very high profile. She says, I lost time with my kids and I wasn't able to give them my advice and feelings, but you do what you have to do to be seen. Yeah. She said, I chose a man over them. You do what you have to do to be seen. Wow. So it looks to me, or it came across to me like she was choosing this high profile romance, this high profile figure to further herself in the world. And the kids were not, it was not convenient to have the kids with her. And so she left them with their birth father. And then the high profile romance, you do what you have to do, but it didn't work out, which would, of course, lead to huge remorse. I chose a man over them. I mean, she is honest enough to say that. And of course, huge remorse. I get an enormous sense of your gentleness, Slee, but I also get that people use you, including your chap. I forget which, I think it was a football club. I forget which one it was from, and I'm not going to stop this video and check. I'm just going to roll on because otherwise I'm just going to take time. Everybody watched all the episodes. You were definitely hard done by. But here is a notice to everyone who has watched. Do not put your children aside for a man, ever. Because it's just not what you do. You bring your children with you into that world. You do not put them aside and then hope to pick them up later. If the man can't cope with the children, he's not the man for you, ever, clearly. And absolutely, you do not go, oh, that's an aspirational man, I want to be there, so I'm going to choose him and I'm going to just put the kids aside for a while and hope that I can pick up with them at a later stage, because that will leave you and them with damages that you will need to heal. They will potentially never heal. You could heal in a way, but they will never get over that breach of trust fully. They will carry that with them, and their actions in later life will be based on what happened at that point. And that's okay. Everybody can heal from this, but it's going to take a while and it's going to take therapy. It's not going to take one conversation. I can guarantee you that. Then we go on to Sarisha. And first line we get is Viv is packing for one of his many trips away. So here we go again. This is becoming a very common thread now. Why? So we're on season 3, and Sarisha is now, as they say in Afrikaans, broming on. She's going over and over and over and over and over this thread. And so they sit down, she gets them into the bedroom, and they sit down at opposite ends of the couch for the talk. Now, the body language is very interesting to me here, because Sarisha's almost leaning away from him at the one end of the couch. At one point, she does put her arm over, but there's definitely not a lot of cuddly body language going on here. Viv says that he will slow down. She says Viv always says that he'll slow down, but it never happens. Now, I have a thing that I want to say here. When you marry someone, what you marry is what you get. So if you married Viv and he was always deeply involved in business, then that's what you get. You can't expect to marry someone and then expect to change them, because then you made the mistake, not them. You are the one who created the error, and you've got to accept your error. You bought into whatever they were. So don't go running around now saying that they're wrong and they must slow down and they must change their energy and their profile. They are what you bought. You selected the item, you took it off the shelf, you said, that's nice, I'll have it. In that case, you're stuck with it. Don't try and alter it. Ain't gonna happen, sunshine. Ain't gonna happen. Bless your cotton socks. So, okay, so, and I was going to say, and if you do expect that to happen, there's a fool born every day, Sarisha, but seriously. So, and the other thing I was going to say, having been married for, I think it's about 26 years, people get more set in their ways, not less set in their ways. So Viv is actually going to become more of the same, not less of the same. Sorry to have to break that fact to you, but it just is what it is. And what you need to do is get yourself a nice hobby like crocheting or something. I don't know, go and learn to play bowls. I don't know, do pottery. But whatever it is, find yourself something that doesn't include him, because the idea of him slowing down, I can't see it happening in a million years. That man is going to work and work and work until one day he has a massive coronary on a building site, and that's going to be it. That's my prediction. Oops, somebody's going to call me a psychic any minute. Oh, can you imagine? That caused a huge furore on our show. I'm not allowed to make predictions, but anyway, that's my prediction. So, my advice is suck it up or ship out. So, anyway, so she says, we're not making time for each other. I think what she's saying is, actually, I'm making time for you, but you're not making time for me. Let's read between the lines. That's what she's actually saying. I put dinner on the table, but you're never here. We've heard her say that already earlier. So she feels that his devotion to work, she says, is like a disease. Because, I mean, he's already said he's now already involved in another project in Dubai. His devotion to work is like a disease. That's radical. I mean, possibly he is. I mean, he's a workaholic. It's called a workaholic. But she knew it when she married him. He hasn't changed. I'm going there again. So, Viv, however, says he thinks his work is a good thing. And for him, it is. He likes it. It brings in the bacon, and more than the bacon, they're Hindu. So I probably shouldn't say bacon. Actually, no, it's cows, isn't it? I'm not sure. Anyway, let me not get myself into trouble. But anyway, it brings in lots of moolah. Let's just put it that way. It brings in the dollar, lots of dollar. Okay? So he feels it's a good thing. He's supporting his family, and he brings in lots of dollars, and everybody's happy, and he's happy, primarily. So he feels it's a good thing. Sarisha says she got onto his train. Yes, Sarisha, you did. Willingly. Nobody made you get on. And never stopped. Right? Correct? You didn't stop. Okay? Now you say you want to experience different things. Now we're getting to the bottom of things. You're the one who's feeling dissatisfied, not Viv. You want to experience different things. So now you've got a decision to make. Are you going to get off the train completely and go separate ways? Or are you going to, as I said, take up crocheting, bowling, pottery, or find yourself some different things to do? You want to experience different things. He doesn't necessarily want to do it with you. You're going to have to make that decision on your own. This is going to be very interesting to watch. Yes, it is indeed. Viv says he's going to take off every Friday on his diary. He's going to slash out every Friday and spend it with the family from now on. Let us see. Watch this space. I wonder if he will. Everything might depend on it. Oh, can't wait to see that. And now we move on to Nonku, who is with Notile, her daughter, at the hair bar. And Notile is doing music as a subject, and she's just chatting about her. They're having some advice, and Notile is talking about people wanting her to sing like Beyonce. I mean, Notile, please, come on. Firstly, there are so many different levels to singing. I did 8 years of singing training in opera singing, but I went on to become a jazz singer and a ballad singer and sing in musicals. I mean, basically, once you do music training, and I can assure you, Beyonce would have done this, I would very much think, in order to sing R&B, you have to have your basics in place. Forget about what anybody else says. You sing in your way, because the world of music is huge, and the world of music style is huge. And Notile, you remind me so much of my own daughter, who also sings and is also quite kind of non-communicative at times, and recessive, but you are so charming and so attractive, and I just really enjoyed, Nonku, I love the fact that you said to her, you be you. I just enjoyed this little scene with the two of you. You were hilarious and fun. It was a lovely scene together. Notile, just don't listen to anybody. Absolutely, you be you. Life is going to open up like a flower for you. I can see that. Then we have JoJo and Annie together, and JoJo's made a little picnic on her lawn, and I'm reminded of JoJo's tagline, where JoJo sort of opens up about, also she being the weird girl, right, opens up about being bullied at school. I was also bullied at school. I think a lot of us, and I do not say this with vanity, I say this because if you land up on Housewives, it's guaranteed you're going to be outstanding in one way or another. So it's almost guaranteed that at some point in your life you will have been bullied because you're exceptional. You do not land up on a show like Housewives because you're boring, right? Obviously, you would have stood out in some way or another. And you're on Housewives and you will still get bullied. So JoJo talks about being bullied at school, and JoJo in the middle, I wrote here. JoJo is always in the middle of everything, somehow. Even though she doesn't want to be, she somehow manages somehow to get herself in the middle of everything and then not like it. And then try and extricate herself. And it's very unfortunate thing that she manages to find herself in the middle of everything and then dislike it and have to try and extricate herself from it. And she somehow manages to fall into it despite her best intentions, which is quite amusing for all of us to watch from the outside and probably rather uncomfortable for her. It's like somebody with two left feet sort of clumsily not really putting their brain into gear before they do an action, and then they land up in the thick of something. Like when she told Sarisha at Nonku's party what Slee had said about Annie, when I would have just kept my mouth shut and told the others. I would have kept quiet about that until a later time, because that really put the cat amongst the pigeons too early and caused a whole chain reaction. So of course the others needed to know, but there's always a time and a place, and JoJo sometimes seems to not quite think before she does things, and then it has a whole chain reaction that's an absolute disaster, and it sort of all gets out of control, and then she doesn't quite seem to know how to rein it back in again. I think her heart's totally in the right place, but I think the reactions that she sets off often become explosive, and then she just doesn't know how to deal with them. At this point, she says, because, you know, she suffered from this bullying at school. She hates being ostracized. She doesn't want to be in fights with everything. She wants to drop the whole thing with Slee finally. And she says that Calvin's going to have the harmonica at the end of all of this. So Calvin's going to have the little kind of facelift fill thing. A bit of a shame, really, because I don't think he needs it, but never mind. And Annie is going to go and make a booking for her lazy eye. I am delighted that JoJo wants to end the thing with Slee, because I can't wait, because I'm so bored of it now. I think if it happens again, I'm going to actually go to snooze and stop doing my reviews of Real Housewives of Durban, or I'll just leave that bit out and just go in my chair until we get to the next bit. So, moving on. Now we see Slee with Bayanda, who's 16, and Inhle, who is 11, and they are at Buzz, jumping around on trampolines, having a great time. She says she's joined in because she wants to get in the mood with them so she can have a chat with them afterwards. And then she has this chat about sort of being distant for those 6 years and apologizes and all that. And I've said that chat is very, very important. Communication with your children is the most important thing in your life that you can do for your children until the day you die. However, this particular matter is going to take more than this discussion. As your kids are growing now, you are going to need, you probably don't realize it, but I feel you're going to probably need some joint therapy sessions where you unpack a bit more out of them about how they felt at this sense of abandonment over these 6 years. And you only occasionally, she says how the boys used to say, oh my God, is that your mum? She's so beautiful, when you very rarely turned up at school to pick them up. So they must be feeling a sense of abandonment. They need to understand it, and they need to unpack it more with you. They will need some more counseling, and not just chats, a little bit of trauma counseling, because otherwise they're going to unconsciously carry it forward into their adult lives. This is just my advice. You'll probably, I don't know if you see this, somebody else might see it, they might tell you, and to anybody else who's been through the same thing, this is worth listening to, because I've had similar experiences in my life, which is why I say so. It's very, very important, communication and going through things that you haven't dealt with, because if you don't, they don't get resolved, and they will rear their heads later in uncomfortable things like addiction, like problems with future relationships. Like abandonment issues are really, really bad when it comes to future relationships. So now we move on to Nonku and the Queen. The Queen is getting ready for her book launch, and she's with the fashion designer, and we hear that Notile is apparently going to New York to study. Congratulations, Notile. I'm sure you'll do very well. That sounds amazing. And the Queen has some questions for Nonku about RD, and she basically wants to know, is this guy on the level, and, isn't it a little bit early to be saying that he wants to marry you and all this sort of thing. And again, I am very confused, because the last thing he said was that he'd been arrested, and the Queen looked at him with great surprise, as did Nonku's best friend. Now, I can't remember if her name was Paula. Anyway, Nonku's best friend was not looking impressed at all. Nonku's best non-white friend. In other words, not JoJo. But she was not looking impressed at all. But the Queen said, okay, well, he's been arrested, but at least he said so. Now, she's taking Nonku to task, and she's going, okay, what are his intentions? How long have you known him? Why are you bringing him into our lives now? And then she said, Nonku, you must wait. And then she says, if he loves her, he will wait for my daughter. But she does not she does not question this thorny issue of the arrest. Now, that is very unlike the Queen, not to do that. Okay, unusual. Why didn't she go there? I don't know. Very unlike her. We'll see. But I have my questions, and I've posed them earlier. Then we get Maria. She's having her Greek goddess party. I love the music. I think it's Zorba the Greek. Ta-dum, ta-dum, ta-da-dum, ta-da-dum. Made me want to start smashing plates instantly. Anyway, why did we not hear about invites to this earlier? Nobody phoned anyone. We didn't see invites arrive at anyone's house. Nobody knew we were going. Just all of a sudden, we're at Maria's Greek goddess party, and everyone's arriving. But nobody told us it was happening before. That's very unusual. Anyway, everyone's arriving. I'm not sure, sorry, itchy nose. I'm not sure about the blue plastic or metal table and chairs, really. Although I suppose it is sort of a Greek beachside taverna look. It looks quite tacky and cheap to me, but it does look like something you might find on the dockside at Mykonos, I suppose. Maybe. But I think usually they'd actually have like wood and cane more than blue plastic or blue metal. But all right, okay. I really don't think there's much effort in the decor at this occasion. It's in a restaurant. It's a Greek restaurant, and this party has been thrown together in a Greek restaurant, and they haven't done anything to make it look any more Greek than it already was. So it's just a Greek restaurant with a Greek party happening in it. Food looks great, made me feel really hungry. I love Greek food. But I will say, Maria does outdo herself on the gifts. But of course, if you are having the event thrown in your family's Greek restaurant and the decor's already done, you can afford to outdo yourself on the gifts, can't you? Because you haven't really had to do much else. And Bali's missing. Again, where is she? She's always missing. This woman's always missing. It's very weird. I actually think Mbali doesn't really live in Durban. I think Mbali lives most of the time in Joburg, and I think Mbali is flying in for the odd episode, and I think Mbali should be a friend of the show. Look at me. Bali should be a friend of the show. I said what I said. So, all right, I've written here, say something nice. God. No, well, Maria, you do look lovely. You do. I'm not feeling it with the venue and the chairs and everything, you know. Okay, so Slee and, but say something nice. It's not say something nice. I'm not reminding myself to say something nice. It's the say something nice game, Camilla, you banana. The say something nice game. Right, so they all have to say something nice about one another. And JoJo goes first, and she does. After this whole thing with Annie, where she said she didn't want to be fighting with JoJo anymore, she says something really nice, and she gets up and she's loving Slee's new blonde hair, and she and Slee have a lovely hug. I love that. And she, as I said, JoJo did say to Annie that she wanted to end it, and then Annie has to stick her oar in. All of a sardine, here comes the old Annie. She's popped out the box. Villain Annie pops out the box and questions whether JoJo's hug was real. Why? JoJo had just sat with her having a picnic and said, I want to end things. I want everything to calm down. I want to forgive one another. And then she comes in. And you know what Sarisha then puts in? I love the fact that Annie's coming out sideways. Oh, Sarisha, the evil stepmother is back. So I said in episode 1 that Sarisha was bringing in a whole new Sarisha into this because she's tired of being boring. And Annie has been tootling along through the whole of this season, virtually this far, being all sweet. And now suddenly she comes out and says, why is JoJo hugging Slee? And was the hug real? I mean, this is vintage Annie coming out here. She's stirring the pot big time, and of course now everything's going to go pear-shaped. Yeah, and of course Sarisha is neatly building up her alliances, you know, Annie and Maria and all of that. So here we go again, going over and over and over the same old drama, and it's getting boring. So we need a new drama now, please, because we now get back into the Slee, the Nonku, who said what to who, Calvin. JoJo says at this point, we've said this so many times. What Slee said at Annie's event, where she said, I wish you happiness and I wish you all the happiness until I don't, is being incorrectly reported. Because, I wish you all the happiness in the world until or blessings in the world, and I wish you all the happiness and blessings until I don't. It's been incorrectly reported by Annie at this lunch, but I am not going there again. I'm not going to repeat myself again because it's been done over and over and over and over. And I actually said, this is it. I finished with it. JoJo said she's finished with it. And if these ladies go there for drama again, this drama is finished. And I'm going to snore through it, and I'm not going to report on it again. For me, this has to be it. It is so tired. Please finish it now. Okay. So, oh no. Sane. Okay. Sane arrives. I can't believe it. Thank heavens. But now I am pleased with Annie, because Sane sits down and Annie just goes straight in for the jugular. She just says, how dare you be here? You brought Londi down, you brought Slee down, you brought me down and accused me of sleeping my way to the top. And then she and Sarisha just get up and they leave. Actually, do you know what? Well done. I agree. They had both said, if this woman's here, we're leaving. And so far, they have stuck by what they said. And I believe in that. I believe that if you've made the decision to do something, you should stick by your word. Well done, ladies. I agree. Now, Sane actually gloats that they're leaving. I don't think Sane is scored by the fact that they're leaving because she doesn't know what they said in the beginning. We're not spending any time in that woman's company. So they're not leaving because they're threatened by her. They're leaving because they quite simply refuse to spend any time in her company. And so would I. I agree. Maria thinks it's rude that the others left. No, Maria, I don't think so. I don't think you should have invited Sane, or at the very least, I think you should have told the others if you were going to. She ambushed them. Maria, you ambushed them. Yes, that's exactly what you did. What right does Sane have to come and sit down now and suddenly say her piece to all these ladies who she's insulted? I don't think she does. I really don't. This is my opinion, as I said. Sane and her sobbing. What the hell what happened there? Was Maria gave her gift? Was this now Sane sobbing over a bottle of Dior? Has nobody ever given her a present before? Is this because now suddenly Maria is her only friend in the whole world? Because that's probably very likely. Oh, I need to apologize because I want to hang out with them, she says. There it is. She said it. She wants to hang out with these ladies. That's actually what it's all about. She doesn't want to apologize because she means it. She wants to apologize so she can hang out with them. There's no meaning behind any apology except that I know that I am deep in the dwang, or the SH1T, and that unless I apologize for my behavior, they won't let me hang out for them. See, Sane knows the way the cookie is crumbling and that she has to apologize. Otherwise, she ain't gonna be invited to any parties. Yeah, you see, I see you, Sane, I see you. Nonku, you accepted Sane's apology far too easily, and that's not like you. You are normally very, very smart cookie. You fell for that one, and I'm very, very sad that you did. But never mind, because you're going to find out, mark my words, you are going to find out that it was a hollow apology. She's going to go for you. She's going to go for you. That woman has no feelings beyond the fact that she wants fame or infamy at any cost. I can see it, and she's going to go for you. Don't fall for hollow apologies ever again. Please, you're far too bright. Yeah, please. So, JoJo, I'm just about to say, JoJo, I'm going to say it. You idiot. What happened? You invited Sane on the trip. I've just said earlier, sometimes you open your mouth before you put your brain into gear. I love you, my darling. But what on earth were you thinking? How could you do that? You just said to Annie and to Sarisha that you weren't going to invite her. And then I think you also fell for that apology spiel. And somehow you just didn't engage your brain and you invited her on the trip. There is going to be disaster looming. I am on tenterhooks for the trip. I'm sort of horrified. I almost don't want to watch. I'm going to be watching in morbid fascination because it's going to be horrific. But at the same time, I think it's going to be probably fascinating in entertainment. Sane, has pulled the wool over all your eyes, except so far Sarisha and Annie. The rest of you are being fooled. You're being taken for fools. She has conned you all. Watch this space. Whew, okay. And with that, that is the end of my review of episode 6 of Real Housewives of Durban. I love you all. Please like, please subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. God bless and good night, my darlings. Love you. How do we do it? Oh, we do it that way.